Salvete Ayubius Spectatoris Optimus. Welcome back to the city of Rhodeas. Now, in previous videos, I have been constructing different kinds of elements and landmarks located in the city centre of Rhodeas, which is part of the ancient Rhodean forum or archaeological area. A number of landmarks that I've previously constructed here are the Mausoleum of Aulus Rhodeas, the Temple of Concordia, the Temple of Vesta, and the Temple of Castor and Pollux. Now, in today's video, I'm going to be doing something a little bit different, and I'm going to be creating something very similar to something which surprisingly exists in the city of Rome, which isn't really talked about much, which is the Pyramid of Cestius. Now, this is an actual landmark that you can visit in the city of Rome, and I think, don't quote me, but I believe it's the largest pyramid in Europe. So very interesting. Of course, when I was living in the city of Rome, I kind of stumbled across it when I was doing some research about this wonderful city where I lived, and it's just completely filled with so many amazing sights to see. But I never really expected to see a pyramid in Rome. But more surprisingly, there were actually two pyramids located in ancient Rome, but only one of them survives today. And it is the smaller of the two, so there was one actually larger. Now the larger one was located near present-day Vatican, near the river. Sadly, it just was poorly maintained over the centuries, and I'm sure a lot of the building materials were used in other projects in the city of Rome. But because the Pyramid of Cestius, where it was located in relation to the city walls, it was maintained because it was part of the city defences. So that's something that I'm going to be replicating in this video too. So I've already created the asset, and now I'm looking for an appropriate wall. Now I think these are Ernesto's Roman walls, which I like. I really like the look of them. They're a little bit wider than I would like, but the more that I'm playing around with them, the more unhappy I get, because I can't really get them, as fluid as I would like. So now I'm just exploring different kinds of network that I could use instead for the walls, and these network city walls that I found on the workshop are perfect. They replicate the feel very, very well. It's slightly a little bit too medieval for what I would like. However, I guess my justification for that would be similar to my own capital city, which is Cardiff, located in Wales. That the castle located in Cardiff was actually built on the Roman fortress. So I guess my feel here is that the ancient Roman walls were located here, but over the centuries they were kind of built upon in a kind of medieval style. So I'm happy with it. I'm going to go for that. Now the actual Cestius has this kind of dip in the ground around the site. So on one side you've got like this viewing area where you can appreciate the look of the pyramid, which is the area that we see now. But on the side, it's a little bit deeper, and as far as I can remember, it's a way to go down and down into the bottom part of the pyramid. But what I've decided to do here is that bottom part I want an entrance for tourists to enter below and into the pyramid, and the rear side or the back of the pyramid I'm going to have like a staff access area. So you'll see it'll become clearer as the video develops. Now, just like the real pyramid in Rome, this kind of semicircular area that you can see on the left of the screen now is actually a war memorial, so it's something that I'm also going to recreate in this video, because I think that kind of area is just it goes together. It looks quite nice. But this kind of these steps going down to this little platform, I don't recall being part of the actual pyramid of Cestius, but again, aesthetically I think it looks nice, so I'm just gonna go for it. Now this would make my life so much easier if I could use the prop tool and they're all the same height, but they're actually conforming to the terrain. Now, try as I might, maybe somebody can help me here. I couldn't find an option for me just to lay down these props but not have them conform to the terrain. Couldn't find it, so I figured I'm playing around and looking for these different kinds of settings, can't find the option that I want, so I'm like, well, I guess I have to bite the bullet, to use an idiom, and just do it individually. A longer process, but a process which should hopefully result in the look that I want, so I'm just going to go with that. It's a more long-winded process, I realise, but you know, it's the only real option I have left. Of course, I need to tweak these sides so there's no big gap in the actual asphalt. Yeah, pretty good. I'm happy with that platform, that viewing area for people to observe and to kind of appreciate this ancient landmark. Yeah, very nice. I think once this is all kind of fleshed out, it'll look surprisingly quite impressive. So yeah, I think with some tweaking, making sure everything's aligned, I think the overall look is definitely satisfactory. I guess I'll take this time to read you a little bit about the real pyramid of Cestius to give you a sense of what it is and why it's there. So, Egyptomania gripped Rome in the wake of the conquest of Egypt in 30 BC, when the Roman Empire conquered the state of Egypt. Both massive original artifacts and inspired copies cropped up all over Rome, but only 2 actual pyramids were known to have been built, and only one remains. The Pyramid of Cestius was most likely built between 18 and 12 BC. The 36 metre, which is about 120 feet high pyramid, was built as a tomb for a wealthy Roman, which is a magistrate, I believe, under the sway of all things Egyptian. Little is known about the man who may have once been buried here, since the tomb was long ago ransacked and the land around it has changed dramatically over the centuries. Now, to interject, a little bit of interesting information here is that, of course, we're talking about a really, really ancient empire, right, spanning several centuries. So between the time of Cestius being buried in this mausoleum pyramid and the time when archaeologists, I don't want to say excavated, but I don't want to say cleaned either, but basically cleaned the outside of the pyramid, they could see the engravings of in Roman, in Latin, basically in Latin, who was actually buried there. But between that time, the native Romans, because there were 2, the Romans actually assumed that they were temples to Romulus and Remus. Now, obviously, Romulus and Remus were the brothers in the ancient myth the legend about Rome, and they were the brothers that basically fought each other, and the winner basically decided what the city would be called, which was Romulus. So the biggest temple, the biggest pyramid, was actually dedicated to Romulus, and the smaller, which is this one here, would be dedicated to Remus. Now, of course, that was incorrect, but it was a long-held belief. Anyway, not to interject, I'll continue. Let's see, where was I? Okay, now at the edge of a busy traffic intersection near a major train stop. Originally the pyramid was well outside the centre of the city, surrounded by stately columns and two bronze figures, now in the Musea Capitolini, or the Capitolini Museum. The pyramid rises at a much sharper angle than the famous pyramids in Egypt. This may have been due to incorrect information on the Egyptian front, innovation on the part of the Roman builders who, using concrete as a building material, were able to design more steeply, or they may have been inspired by the steeper Nubian pyramids near Jebel Barkal, now in Sudan. In any event, the unusual proportions of this pyramid close to home has been credited as the source of oddly proportioned pyramids in European art, supposedly depicting the Egyptian originals. Yeah, so very, very interesting. I would definitely encourage people to read up more about the Pyramid of Cestius, because it's just such an eccentric kind of thing. And here in video we can see that I'm creating the multi-leveled entryway that I want like visitors to take as they go into the pyramid, because I just didn't want something bland like just one grand kind of staircase and a straight path into the building. I wanted it to, you know, look interesting from a architectural point of view. So this does take a long time to get satisfactorily like right and good, but I think the ending result will be worth it. So here, just deciding what kind of doorway I want to have as an entrance for the museum. Well, I guess there would be a museum inside, but I mean pyramid. And I'm looking here now for a network that's going to be sufficiently tall enough, but interesting enough. And eventually I came across these, they're called the railway walls, or railway retaining walls. But I really liked the facade. I thought it looked quite interesting, and in a way somewhat complements the medieval kind of wall, only in that it's very detailed, as much as that too, but also sufficiently different to say like, well, this has obviously been built at a different time, a different period, than the medieval wall. And now I'm looking for these grass ploppable pieces, because I don't want the whole thing concrete, because I want to go over a lot of this with plants, to make it look a little bit more interesting and less dull and uninspired. So as you can see, I think by adding these multiple levels, it does make the site look a lot more interesting. And I think once the walls have been set out and the levels have been completed with different kinds of, the different staircases or steps going down to each level, and with the addition of plants, I think it would look quite an interesting area, quite an interesting site. And this by far is the trickiest one to do, because I try as I might, I couldn't get the angle exactly right, and it really does suck that I can't, create this, I guess 45-degree angle sides for the stairs in the same kind of color. But it's a compromise. Right, it's better than having like nothing at all. And now, just adding this last kind of supporting wall structure, which hopefully will look quite nice. Yeah, very happy with that, very happy. And now just for the very last piece, and then I can move on to some plants and some detailing, which I think will really bring the area to life. So I'm just linking these two areas together because I want this like nice wide pedestrian area, because I foresee, because it's located in the city centre, it's located next to a fairly large monument that footfall is going to be higher around this area, especially because it's a big junction that I'm going to be filling out here. So yeah, it needs that extra space for pedestrians to use. As a shame in game that's not actually going to be utilised by the in-game pedestrians, but a few props should work. And thanks to procedural objects, because I can actually create these really large structures for the entrance. Now I'm probably going to return later to this and add a suitable gate, because the gates that I do have in game, I want something else for the entrance, so I'll probably return to the Pyramid of Cestius at a later date and add those, and probably something on the top, but I'm not really sure what I'm going to put on top of those entrance column things. And here I'm looking for some kind of statue or focal point that I can put into this kind of square area, and I'm looking at these, I'm like, no, that doesn't look good, but I do want something there. It's bothering me, and then I think, well, I'll come back to that in a little while, and then I wanted to put these kind of gates as sort of like railings coming down the sides, but again, I wasn't happy with those. I thought they just looked bad. But I will put railings up here for safety reasons, at least, which I think is good. And now some well-earned extra detailing, lots of bushes, flowers, plants, grass, and I think it just makes such a big difference to the overall look and feel of the site. It's just remarkable how much just plants really bring out a feel for a place. And eventually I do find something, converting it to a procedural object. I think, yes, neoclassical, that looks perfect. The other ones were just too modern. And I don't want that in this area, at least not yet. And of course, because purple and yellow are the primary colours in Rhodeas, I went for this kind of this purple regal ish colour, which turned out to be quite nice. It adds like a bit of an accent to the area. And here I'm just adding, or trying to add, some kind of like broken rocks or part of the wall that's kind of fallen, and creating like this this kind of, you know, this is a dangerous area, do not walk into it. And I'll probably return to it later because I want to add like scaffolding and maybe some like construction crews or something to signify that, you know, this part of the wall is being maintained for like safety reasons. But for now, you know, these kind of safety barriers will suffice. Of course, some extra detailing, some lampposts around the side. Probably move on then to some, you know, extra benches or bins, you know, just to flesh out the area a little bit more. I'm probably going to go with some planters now between the benches. I'm not going to put in anything large in terms of trees, but maybe some like small bushes or some plants, because I don't want to obstruct the view of the pyramid, because that's the focal point. That's where I want people, you know, either walking past, driving past, you know, that's what I want to see. So you can see I've gone with like yellow flowers because I thought the purple and the yellow, again, maintaining that accent color or accent colors for the general area. So yeah, very happy. I'm gonna remove that road because I don't want that kind of grass verge. That just kind of screams suburbia for me, really. And instead replace it with something a little bit more fitting. And here you can see I'm working on the war memorial, again inspired by the real life Rome, and near the site of the pyramid of Cestius there is actually a war memorial. So I thought, you know, I'll replicate that because I think, you know, aesthetically, I think it's quite nice, especially because you know, even though I'm not trying to recreate the city of Rome, because, you know, that would be crazy. I don't have enough time in my life to do that. But, you know, if I can echo parts of Rome, I think that's quite a really nice homage. I think that's a really nice thing to do. So yeah, I think this looks a very pretty area, and something I'm definitely going to return to later, because this is not really part of the pyramid of Cestius, but it is going to be near the pyramid of Cestius. So I'll come back to that later. Now, of course, I need to extend. Now, I do not want the road going that way because that's going to cut straight into the archaeological area, so it needs to bend a little bit. And here I'm going to work on the rear side of the pyramids. This is kind of like the staff entrance, the entrance where the staff will come and park, or the staff will take in any kind of deliveries that they need to, for any of the I guess amenities inside the pyramid that either tourists or visitors will need, or just to maintain the structure itself. Now this was a little bit of a nightmare because no matter what I do here, it just, I don't like it. I don't like it. And neither does the game, because you've got a lot of this I guess clipping going on, and the game doesn't like that either. And eventually I'm like, well, I'll just create this kind of S-bend kind of shape, and eventually went with this, and I thought, you know what, I'm happy. That will do for now. And again, I went for this. Originally I was going to go with this kind of secure entrance. I'm like, well, it's not big enough to really justify that level of kind of security, so I'll just go with like a little security office, a gate where staff or deliveries can come in and come out, and that will basically do for now. Just like the actual real life pyramid of Cestius, the entrance is kind of at the back here, but this is just for staff, essentially. The main visitor entrance is, as I was working on previously, kind of pinkish, reddish kind of path that brings you into the pyramid. So this is strictly staff kind of entry into the pyramid. And I'm just fleshing it out with lots of plants, and it should be, hopefully, quite pretty. Yeah, okay. Yeah, I think I'm very happy with the progress on that. If you enjoyed this video, please consider liking and subscribing. It's nice to know that people are actually watching and enjoying these, and I'm not just creating these just for myself. So yeah, thank you very much for watching.